We did have a department head meeting this morning. Tim Morsler, who is the department head of EMS, EMA and 911 services. We asked him if he would come in this afternoon and provide a report and update to us concerning the outage last night of the 911 system and as associated with AT&T, which is the telecom carrier that provides the services for that. So, Tim, if you could update us, and I'm sure we might have some other questions associated with it.
Yeah, do it real quick. About 6:30 last night, AT&T suffered a massive outage in one or more of their data centers, which affected, as you can see on the map here, this is downdetector.com last night. These were the reports were coming in. What time was this? About 8 o'clock? I think about 8 o'clock we captured this. There were 11 states that were reporting outages with AT&T down, and that's really how the normal, as you see, some of the reports today have been as little as 4 counties. I know for a fact at least 7 counties that I personally talked to were affected last night. And this is all wireless, AT&T, hardline AT&T, and internet were all affected. In turn, the interconnectivities that happen with other companies and cell phone providers and stuff, a lot of them were affected, and it really depends on where you're at. So, some people say Verizon was up solid. I could make calls on my Verizon phone. I could not receive calls in on my phone at my location. It was not Verizon service. It still was associated with this. In turn, that those phones not working, people were not able to call 911. This was our equipment at the sheriff's office was fully up and operational at midnight. Still took a couple more hours to get all the rest of the dispatch centers working, but it was this is an issue of the equipment was not, people's phones. Some people had no way to call 911, so we did a lot of press releases, pushed a lot of information out to people in every manner we could. Used the emergency alert system, the reverse 911 system, calling system that we have, WENS. We've used everything that we had at our disposal to notify as many people as possible. And then we used those systems again this morning to notify people that the system was back up and running. There's only been one issue today so far since I met with you this morning. Some of the dispatch centers have reported difficulty in calling cell phones back. So we're getting the calls in fine. Now it's calling those people back but that's just, there's AT&T still experiencing some issues. One of the other counties reported to me shortly before lunch that they were still having problems with a couple of their PSAPs.
Again, there were no 911 equipment failures.
Yeah, there were no 911 equipment failures. This was a complete failure of the 911 services. Everything from internet to broadband, everything that they provide. That was the failure that in turn caused all this.
And he mentioned the notification system. Just want to show you on the web that if you go to the county's main web page and you go to the bottom of the page and click on emergency notification, this will take you to a sign-up page where notifications like he just referred to will either be pushed to your cell phone or texted to your phone.
You can add.
It worked on my phone last night. I know several of your others' phones. So that's helpful when a scenario like this happens. That you get that mass notification.
We sent out at least three notices with this to let everybody know that it was down, that there was a phone number, a 10-digit phone number they could call the sheriff's office for any emergency. And
which was a cell phone, by the way.
Yeah, we sent a clearance this morning. One of the things we will plan going forward, we're always looking for ways to improve. This is in no way related to what we did last time, so we've got a ton of redundancies, but we're going to do something really basic. I'm going to purchase about 25 additional cell phones, keep them active, and put them in all of the dispatch centers in the county. I will at least offer them to all the dispatch centers in the county, so that we have a pre-published list of phone numbers if there's a failure that we can put out quickly. It took us a little time to gather up all those phone numbers last night, and for the small cost for that one additional layer of redundancy now, I think it's a good investment. So there's a couple small steps like that we always, whenever these things happen, we learn something more.
Does AT&T have in place? I mean, apparently they do not. Any systems regarding redundancy and or backup for this kind of a outage?
I'm waiting to hear why they didn't work. Things that we pay for, like CLARs, and please don't ask me today, the acronym is CLAR. What it allows us to do is to switch some of our administrative lines over so that we can continue to get phone calls in and out if our phone system is down, things like that. Even a simple 10-digit line that we pay for at our office is direct wired to the hard switch. We've had that phone number for, I'm going to say going on 30 years, pretty close. All of that stuff was down. So even what we paid for as to be part of our redundancy plan if our equipment fails, even that stuff was down. I mean, this truly was AT&T's complete operation was down in this area. There was nothing working. So, there's just that's a complete utility failure. This was not a 911 issue. This was a complete phone system had failed.
Were there any incidents that occurred that no one was able to report or so forth, and therefore led to medical?
I only know right now. We only know one person did drive a family member into a fire station in Plain Township. It was not a real serious condition, but they did go directly to the fire station in Plain Township. That's the only thing that's been reported to me so far. I've not heard of anything tragic. And like I said, we did have, for people that could call, we had numbers available for them to call. The problem last night was people simply may have not had a device to call with. Their services that they paid for were not working to call 911. So even when we were up and running, there were still devices that were down.
I thought it was interesting, Tim said that the ham radio operators, they came in and put their CB antenna up and were ready to go.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit more than CB, but they
2 meter.
They put,
whatever.
yeah, 2 meters CB. Yeah, but we had ham radio operators operating in Medina County, Summit County, Stark County. We had radio communications on State Marks radio. We had communications on ham radio and some cell phones. So there was at least between us, Medina, Portage, and Summit. We had good communications between the EMA offices throughout the whole event, and Mahoning too. Mahoning we had good contact with. So those were the ones that some of the ones that I personally talked with throughout the evening, and just kept track of what was happening.
Anyone have any questions for Tim? Because we're going to release him and get him home.
Get some sleep.
Normally he takes a nap every day at 2 o'clock anyway. Today is the first time he was actually authorized and approved to do so.
Yeah, today's a little more valuable.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the exact time span of the shutdown?
It was a little after 6:30, Martin, and things started to be restored about 11:30 for us. Sheriff's office was back up, and Canton City was up about 11:30, and then the other dispatch centers slowly came online. We finally left the office a little bit after 2:30 this morning.
And at that point, about 95%.
Yeah, about 95% of things. In Stark County, we could transfer calls every place, and we knew all of our 911 equipment was up and running, and calls were being able to be phoned into 911. But if somebody had a device that wasn't working, that was the only issue that was still outstanding. But we knew we were at least about 95% restoration. We couldn't be 100% sure on everybody's individual devices, like your individual phone. We just weren't able to be that sure of it. We did additional testing. We left the office about 2:30. I was back in just a little bit before 7 this morning. We did some additional testing. And about 8 a.m. we put out another message via the winds to tell everybody that, in fact, everything was up and working and in good order.
Now, I got a message at like about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. That was from the WIN system. We had put it in earlier in the evening, and some of those, because of literally the internet outages and phone outages, that system continued to try to call you until was your phone down at some point? Do you have an AT&T phone?
No, I have T-Mobile.
I would be guessing to tell you why you didn't get it till 2 a.m. But we were setting those things off as early as 7, 8 o'clock in the evening.
I see.
And there was just a multitude of different issues, depending on where he was at. An example is Alliance. Most of their phones were up. They could make phone calls out. They couldn't receive phone calls in. And it just depended on where he was at in the county, what scenario he was in. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear you got him. Did you get to 1 at 8 a.m. this morning to say everything was restored?
Right. Right. And, but just to, I see the difference. My internet is AT&T, but my cell phone is T-Mobile. So I would have gotten the T-Mobile calls when it occurred. Is that correct?
I can't guarantee anything to you. It affected a lot of different companies. A lot of different companies were affected, and it depends on the towers you use too.
Sometimes your Verizon or T-Mobile tower is bouncing off an AT&T
I
piece
see.
of infrastructure.
I
so
see.
there could have been some real aberrations.
We saw a lot of interactions last night that I can't explain to you, and I won't even endeavor to. I mean, there was truly some unique situations that I would just be pulling it out of thin air to try and give you a concrete answer. I'm definitely going to pursue AT&T to give us deliver some better answer to us, especially on their redundancies. They've sold us, obviously you've been here before, on how many redundancies we have to pay for. They're supposed to have redundancies too, and those did not seem to work last night. So they're going to have to explain to a lot of people why their redundancies didn't work.
Have they given you a timetable for answers?
No, they're still working to repair problems as we speak right now. There are still areas that are not restored. So they're still working on the problem as we speak. We're lucky here to be to be in good shape, but there's still areas that are having problems.
And just to be clear, anybody in Stark County now can get access to 911.
Yes.
But the problem is some folks you cannot call some cell phones.
Yeah, we noticed a problem with 10-digit landlines calling back to a cell phone. We had a couple of issues where we could not call the cell phones back. We don't know if it's related to this or not, but they'll continue to look at that.
But do those the inability to call back, do those involve emergency situations?
I don't know. I would have to talk directly to dispatch center and find out. There's just a couple of occurrences this morning, but they did report it. So I have Julia, our IT tech for 911. She's looking at it with AT&T, and she's reported it to AT&T. So they're at least aware of it. But that I wouldn't consider that. If you call 911, you're able to get through. So it's really not a 911 issue. It's more of an administrative line issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
The most important thing, Martin, was your blog, in fact.
No.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Tim. Good night. Take care.
Martin, I do have a question for you, though. When you transferred your account to T-Mobile, did they cut your old bill in half with a chainsaw?